There's another 4 pallets on that Starling's truck. I've just unloaded for Rogers. It's lorry after like lorry this morning. It's musical lorries. They're just everywhere. Yeah. You must be on that, so that's the new display stove in now. The new one for the heat storage blocks. It looks massive in there. This is our new display stove that's just arrived and to get put together for the showroom. It's a bit of a monster. It's a Hwam 4660C, which is stone clad. The stones are absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at that. And you can see it's been cut from one piece of stone on each side, so the marks continue throughout the whole body. It is absolutely gorgeous. And the whole point of this is that stone keeps and retains heat and stays hotter for a lot longer. And inside this section on the top is where we're going to put heat storage stones. So those heat storage stones that go in here are also very heavy and should retain heat for at least 10 hours after the stove's gone out. Yeah, it's an expensive option. It's not cheap, but you can see why. Okay, so since I started this video, there's been a pile of people in the shop and it's got really busy. And yeah, it's now in. So this is partially installed and we just wanted to show you the inside of it. So this is the Hwam 4660C. It's big, tall stove. You can see the size of it. It is up on about a 4-inch, 4-inch hearth in here because that's what we had from previous stoves. But I'm 5'7", so it's kind of tall. Anyway, what you're looking at in here is this section is for heat storage stones. So we'll take a wee video of how those stones all go in the inside, and it's so it keeps heat for hours and hours after it goes out. So this stove has got a modern glass door. It's the M model rather than the C model. So this is the modern glass door, which has got screen printed behind, and the door is curved. See the curve in the glass. Now in the standard M type door, in the standard C type door, the C is for cast iron and a bit more traditional. The glass is still curved, but the glass is a bit smaller because of the door framework. See? Whereas in the other one is all glass and this bit is screen printed. So it looks a bit more modern in the M door compared to the C door. The C doors are that bit more classical looking. Obviously this isn't a stone clad unit, but the glass is a lot cheaper to buy a spare part for than what it is in the M series, because it's a much bigger glass, much fancier glass. And we do far more of the C type than the M type. We thought we'd get one in for display because it looks a bit more modern, a bit classier. The stone show display rig, so it's not a fancy flue, it's a really ugly flue, not like we'd do it in a house, but this is just our sort of bit display model. Right, so all those bricks have slotted in on the top, and that's the heat storage stones with the flue pipe passing through the middle of them. So it's going to absorb all that heat from the top of the fire and from the flue into these bricks, and once they've heated up, along with the stone cladding on this unit, is supposed to keep the heat in there for about 10 hours. So that should make a big difference in here because we've only got the stove for heat source. And
Is there air control at the back as well? You can open and close it, release the heat out the back.
oh, out the stones.
Yeah, the stones there is an open and close vent on the back here.
It'll be interesting to have a play with this one when we get it fired up. Alright, so it gets a bit dusty in here, so I've decided that I am going to use some stone sealant, and this dries clear, to seal the top of this sandstone, tobacco sandstone stove, which will dry in and we're not going to see it, just to give it a sort of wipeable finish, because I don't trust me, never mind anything else, not to put great big monkey handprints on it, and I want to make sure it's wipeable, just to give it a bit extra added protection, because you're better doing these things when it's brand new than you are later down the line. And yeah, I've been using my jumper for polishing things, so I'm looking a bit grubby. it will dry back to clear because I've already done one coat. I just thought I'd give it a second one because I'm not going heavy at it. It's only just damp and no more. I'm not trying to saturate it. Just seal the surfaces. Right, so this has had a going over in stone sealant. And you can already see where it's soaking in and drying off already. This stuff will be dry in about half an hour. It says an hour, but it dried ultra quick the last time. And then I'll probably give it its first little fire. Such a pretty stone. Water-based stone sealant. This will dry back into clear and not show anything like it did before. Yeah. Right, okay. This is the witch look, by the way. Been outside in the wind half the afternoon, in and out the forklift truck. And the rain. Anyway, just come back in from outside, and this stove has had a couple of coats of sealant today, and it looks just like it did before I sealed it. So it made no difference at all to looks, but hopefully help prime the surface a bit. Keep any marks off of it, make it more wipeable, and I'm ready to light it up for its first burn. So here you go. It's a great big monster. And it's a great big high stove. As you can see, we've had a sign on it to make sure nobody touched it. So nobody's had their hands on this. So let's just take all the sellotape off of it. Stuck to me. Right, so sellotape off. Always check there's nothing in your ash pan. Done that before and melted many a manual and a glove on the inside. Have we got anything in there? Nope, just a dead fly. Right, that's the ash pan shut. That bit that you see is a top piece of stone for if you're not using the top outlet that's obviously come with it. And oops. I'm going to use a couple of my kiln dried little birch logs. Use the little ones off the top, there's some bigger ones in the bottom, and a pile of kindling just to get it open. This air control is fully open. We'll give it its first burn. It says you want to do 3 or 4 burns before letting it get to full temperature because we want the stone to dry out if there's any moisture in it. And we know there's probably a little bit because I've been wiping it down with sealant. We've got one fire lighter in there. And I'll put some more kindling on top. And there she goes. So I will leave the door slightly ajar. And it won't take long to take. And it'll be interesting to see what this does over the next day or two once it's lit and up to temperature. And got some heat into those stones. And then I'll do some temperature testing and see how long it stays hot for. But it is going in there. It will just take a little while. What you see in there is downdraft ignition. So it's the wind blowing back down the chimney and trying to blow the fire out. It is getting going. That's better. There's plenty of kindling in there. There'll be enough updraft. It will take no problem. Just that fire lighter getting the kindling started. They don't look fab. I'll show you again in a day or two and let you know how it's doing in terms of heat storage.
Discovered that there's a nice big wasp in there. I don't know where that came from, but I don't think it's going to be alive for much longer. Bad luck. You're not coming back out. Sorry.
You've seen how these light up plenty of times before. There is another video on a Hwam 4640C, and it's just the same fire. It's just higher and has a different door on it, plus the stone. But the actual operating and spare parts is exactly the same. So my wood's already catching. And I'm just gonna shut the door and leave her be. That'll do. It can get on with it. I've got another one to go and do a video on for tonight. Right, so as you can see, I am sat in front of our new lit display model. Yeah, I am on the sofa, and it is a great big stove. I'm sat in front of our new display Hwam 4660C freestanding stove, which arrived in a couple of weeks ago now, and I just haven't got round to finishing off this video. So I thought I'd sit down and do a little bit of editing, and I'll show you everything from when it first came in. So when this stove arrived, it turned out on opening there were actually a couple of quite nasty dings in the stone on the side. They were not horrendous, but they were very visible, and I really didn't fancy my chances of getting that out. Accidents and things can happen with stone. The stone is quite easy damaged in transit, as we found out. It would have helped if the transporters hadn't popped the bands and put it on another pallet. So, you know, it did suffer slightly in transit, and I was worried at one point that this was going to have to go back. But we certainly did to have a go at trying to fix it. Because do you know what? Things happen across time, and I need to be able to know how to fix these things. If it's fixable, I want to be able to fix it, because why shouldn't you? You know, you might get a scuff on something, whether it be a hearth or a stove or something else, and it's good to be able to know what you can do. And I'm fairly independent. I like to be able to do things myself and not have to rely on others. So I sent a little video to Fred, who does all the technical support for Hwam. I said, hey, going to help me here? I'm struggling a bit. Is this something that we can actually fix, or is it going to have to go back? This was before we actually commissioned it and put it in. And I was told I could have a go at it and rub it down with some fine wet and dry paper. There is an actual little instruction sheet on how you do that. I didn't think I fancied my chances, I really didn't. And it said to start off with a much heavier, coarser grit of sandpaper, wet and dry paper, than I did. I went straight to the finest, lightest, easiest one. And do you know what? It came up no problem. It didn't take much work at all. I just took my time at it, gave it a wee buff, gave it a wee wipe, gave it a wee buff, gave it a wee wipe. Do you know what? You can't see it there at all. So I'm going to show you the videos of this in a minute and tack them on just so you can see. Because you never know, you might scratch something if you've got a stone stove at some point, and whether it be soapstone or sandstone, it should be fixable, and it's actually quite easy to get out, so don't be too scared about it. If you do what I did and go with the finest grade to start with, and that's not enough, you could always go heavier and then back to finer to polish it out again. But honestly, you can't see this at all. So as far as repairing stonework or, you know, taking out minor imperfections, it's worth knowing just in case. I hope this helps. So here you are. This is it today. So there you go. You can see I've got it burning. It's in the shop. We've just opened this and it is stunning. As you can see, it wasn't strapped on the pallet because I took a video of it yesterday. I was just unwrapping it. But there's a couple of nasty marks in the stone here. It's been gouged into the surface. Probably corresponds to these marks here. 2 of them. Looks about right. Any idea if we can buff that out, Fred? The other side's clean. It's just the one. Ta. Right, so those little marks that was on the body are now down to minimum. And to be honest, you can't really notice it, not when you're further back anyway, only when you're really close. And I know they're there, but you know what, I reckon I can get them out totally. So I'm gonna have another go with my congestion relief tablets and some 360 wet and dry, and see if we can get the rest of that off. Right, so this had a bit of a ding when it came in, as you probably saw in those other videos. So I'm just polishing the very last of it out with some wet and dry before I seal it. There was a huge ding there. It looked quite deep, and then another one here. But you can barely see them now. And this is just 360 wet and dry. And I'm just gonna finish that little bit, see if we can get rid of the rest of it before I seal it. So using my sleeve as a polishing cloth. I've got rid of all those marks. That's just a bit of grub from that. Yeah, I'm going to give that a wipe down now and then seal it. I mean, honestly, there's nothing there like it was. Not at all. You can't see it, you can't feel it. No issue. No issue at all.